Chapter 2. Disneyland and Football. Disneyland. Peter and Lenore were very excited. The greatest place in the world to be a kid, and they were there. As they looked around, they found it hard to decide where to start. They finally decided to start with the Peter Pan ride. The two kids got into a car together, and Peter's parents got into the car behind them. As the vehicle entered the darkness, the kids looked down upon a sleepy London. Whispering their awe, they quietly chattered along as the ride progressed. After the Peter Pan ride, they decided to go on the Mad Tea Party. In the spinning teacup, Peter and Lenore laughed and giggled while Peter's folks looked a little green. Then Peter pointed to Splash Mountain and asked Lenore to ride with him. Her eyes sparkling, she quickly agreed, and they got into line. Peter's folks decided to skip the Splash Mountain ride, and so they told the kids to meet them in a nearby food court, and they went to sit down. Lenore and Peter sat together in the very front of the log. As the ride progressed, Lenore squeezed Peter's hand a little harder with every change in the ride. As the log started to slide over the falls, she wrapped her arms around Peter and held on tight. Peter put his arms around her, and they screamed their delight all the way to the bottom. Drenched with water, giggling and talking, they started for the food court. On the way, they passed a set of restrooms, and Lenore said she had to go, so Peter decided to relieve himself as well. When Peter had finished, he waited outside the restrooms for Lenore to get finished. As he stood there, he heard a very familiar voice. "Well, if it isn't my favorite geek, Peter the Geek. And your girlfriend isn't here to protect you, Chuck." Peter saw the look on his face and knew what was going to happen next. Chuck knocked him to the ground, so he tucked himself to protect his head and his groin. Chuck saw this, and so he began to stomp on Peter's ribs. After about 5 full-strength stomps, Lenore came out and saw what was happening, and she started to run toward the boys. Chuck saw her and ran in the other direction. Lenore stopped and dropped to check on Peter. "Pete, how bad are you hurt?" Peter could only croak, "It hurts real bad." She helped him stand, and leaning on her, they made their way to the food court. Mrs. Rogers jumped up as soon as she saw the kids and ran to see what the matter was. Chuck Swanson stomped Peter's ribs. Mr. Rogers got a Disneyland employee to see if there was someplace handy to see to Peter's ribs. He used a walkie-talkie to contact the aid station and asked for a wheelchair. Then he helped Peter to sit and assured the Rogers that the wheelchair would be there in a few minutes, and they would take Peter to the aid station where the park's doctor could examine him. The attendant arrived with the wheelchair, and with a little help Peter got into the chair, and they walked to the aid station. At the aid station, the park doctor examined Peter's side and determined that there were no broken bones, just a very bad bruise. The doctor gave them a few painkillers and told them to go easy, to soak the bruise in cold water for 10 minutes a couple of times tonight. As they left the aid station, Mr. Rogers asked Peter if he wanted to rest. Peter said no, he wanted to see more of the park. He stopped leaning on Lenore, stood straight and walked along on his own. Lenore looked at him and smiled a very encouraging smile. "If it gets too bad, Pete, I'll help you. Chuck makes me so mad. Just wait till I get my hands on that weasel." Peter turned to her and said, "It's okay, Nori, I really owe Chuck a lot. I'm really thankful to him." "What, after what he's done to you?" "Oh, it hurt, and I hated it while he was torturing me, but if it weren't for him, you probably would never have noticed me, we wouldn't be friends, and we wouldn't be here at Disneyland. But you know Pastor Don and Mr. Barnett would want us to forgive Chuck and pray for him. Pete, you are quite a man. Jesus must be proud of you, I know I am." The kids decided to tackle the haunted house next. As they walked up the incline to the entrance, Peter winced. "Pete, are you okay? Do you need help?" "I'll be okay. The incline gives me a little twinge. Thanks." Once in the haunted house, they thoroughly enjoyed themselves. Lenore was mystified how these illusions were done. Peter quickly figured out the means of every illusion, but he kept his mouth shut. He didn't want to spoil the ride for anybody. They then decided to take in Bear Country. This gave them a chance to sit, and Peter nursed his bruised ribs. To tell the truth, he really enjoyed the attention that Lenore was giving him. But, He tried to keep the pain and wincing down to a minimum. The family decided to stay at the Disneyland Hotel for the night and go back to the park the next morning. Mr. Rogers remarked, "You just can't see all of it in one day." The next day they visited Autotopia, the Jungle Riverboat ride, and took the Tomorrowland space mission. Peter had done as the doctor had told him and took one of the painkillers to help him sleep. Today he was feeling much better. As the family walked along, the two kids chatted and giggled a lot until they reached the monorail. As they boarded the train, Peter tripped and fell against the door jamb and pain shot through him like a bullet. He almost passed out but held onto his wits until he could sit down. Lenore saw the tears in his eyes and asked, "What's the matter, Pete?" "Nothing, I just bumped my side." The family went into Cinderella's castle, took the submarine ride, and ate too much of just about everything. Too soon it was time to head back to Grandma's house. They piled into the car and started off. As they entered the freeway, Peter's dad had to swerve quickly to miss a stray that had gotten onto the roadway. This caused the kids to be flung to the side. Even though everyone had the seat belts fastened, they still were bounced around quite a bit. Lenore reached out to steady herself as the car lurched again and she slammed into Peter's bruised side. This time Peter did pass out, although no one seemed to notice. He came to a few minutes later, and Lenore accused him of going to sleep. The pain in Peter's side was worse than it had been even the night before, but he smiled at Lenore and took her ribbing with good humor. When they arrived at Grandma's house, Peter could not get out of the car. It hurt very badly. Dad came and helped him out. Mrs. Rogers felt that maybe they should take Peter to the emergency room. Peter started to object but thought better of it and acquiesced. Peter and his dad got back into the car to drive to the hospital, but Mrs. Rogers and Lenore insisted on going with them. His dad drove carefully, and when they got to the hospital, Lenore went in and got a wheelchair. Helping him again, they got him into the chair and took him inside. The doctor who saw them had x-rays taken. They found that Peter had 3 broken ribs. The doctor carefully set the ribs, but still, Peter grew quite faint. Then they taped his ribs and told him, in no uncertain terms, to take it easy for the next 2 weeks. Everyone was very disappointed. 2 weeks was the time that Peter's dad had off from the department, so they thought the vacation was ruined. On the way to Grandma's house, Peter suggested that the others go the places they had planned, and he would stay with Grandma since the long ride back home was out of the question for at least a week. Everyone protested, but Peter was adamant, this should not ruin everybody's summer. He would stay with Grandma, resting, eating her chocolate chip cookies and letting her spoil him rotten. Dad said, "Well, we'll sleep on it and make our decision tomorrow." The next morning, was the family's planned trip to tour the MGM studios. They had already booked the tour, so it was decided to let Grandma spoil Peter, and the others would tour MGM. They promised to get some pictures and maybe autographs for Peter. The next week was a real letdown for Peter. He stayed at Grandma's house, watched TV, did a little reading, and daydreamed a lot while the others went to MGM, Paramount, Knott's Berry Farm, and a second 2-day visit to Disneyland. Chuck had succeeded in ruining Peter's summer, but there wasn't anything that could be done, and so, Peter worked very hard on forgiving Chuck. Then it was time to say goodbye to Grandma and head home. Because of Peter's ribs, they planned to take 3 days to return home. They made advance reservations for the 2 nights they would be on the road and asked for a rollaway bed so that the 2 kids would have separate beds. After arriving at the motel, they found everything as they had requested. Lenore offered to sleep on the rollaway, but Peter would have none of it. The rollaway was his, and that was final. Actually, the rollaway was softer and easier on his ribs, so no one argued too passionately. The trip took its toll on Peter, and by the time they arrived home, he could barely move. They had arrived about 6 in the evening, and so they went to Lenore's house. When they got to her home, Peter told Lenore to wait a minute. Wincing slightly, he slowly got out of the car and opened the door for her and walked her to her door, carrying her suitcase. She turned to him, "Pete, I wish things had been different. I'm sorry you had to stay with your grandma. That's okay. We made it. Did you have fun?" "Yes, I did. It makes me feel guilty though. He opened the door for her and put her bag on the floor inside. She thanked him and then kissed his cheek. "Thank you, Pete. I'll come over tomorrow if that's okay." "Okay, tomorrow, but not too early." She closed the door, and Peter walked back to the car and got in. The tears welled up, but he clenched his jaw and refused to cry. When they got home, he took a shower and got into bed. His side really hurt, but all in all, he was happy. He got up, went downstairs and asked his mom for one of the painkillers the doctor had given him. After about 20 minutes, he felt better and went to bed and to sleep. It took another 2 weeks for Peter to get to the point that he could do things without his ribs hurting. By that time, it was the 4th of July, and the Rogers and the Johnsons planned to spend the day together with a barbecue and the community fireworks display at the end of the day. The Johnsons arrived at the Rogers about noon, and the two men went out to start the barbecue. Peter and Lenore put on their swimsuits and took a plunge in the pool. The two ladies stayed in the kitchen to prepare the dinner. As Peter came out, Lenore noticed that the wrappings were off, but his side was still black and blue. Peter walked gingerly to the poolside and slowly let himself down into the water. Lenore could not help but notice that Peter's shoulders were fairly broad in proportion to his body, especially for a boy of 12 years. She also saw that his shoulders and arms were quite muscular. He was thin, but not as skinny as he had been. She wondered why she had never noticed how well built her friend was. Later, she was talking to Peter's mom and found out that he had started gaining breadth of chest, arms, and shoulders since the middle of the 6th grade. Peter was eating better than he had since he had started going to school. His mom could only surmise that Peter's friendship with Lenore was largely responsible for the change. He has a better outlook on life. She also found out that Peter was doing a little weightlifting and other exercises since Lenore chose to be his friend. Lenore asked his mom, "Why would my being his friend make any difference?" "Several things, I think, Nori. First, he's not afraid that he will be picked on anymore. Second, someone he considers significant likes him for who he is. And so, he wants to improve himself, mostly for you. It would be nice, dear, if you would make some good comments about his physique. That would really help his ego." Later, as the two families sat enjoying the fireworks display, Lenore leaned over to whisper in Peter's ear, "Pete, I couldn't help but notice how good you look in a swimming suit." Peter was overwhelmed. "Thanks, I've been working out a little." "Pete, are you glad we're friends?" There was a long pause. "I don't know how to tell you how glad I am. Your friendship is, well, it's the most wonderful thing that has ever happened to me." "Oh Peter, I'm so glad. Your friendship is very important to me too." She reached out and took his hand, and they sat there in silence enjoying each other, and the fireworks. That night as he lay in the darkness, he hugged his pillow and whispered, "Nori, if you only knew how I really feel about you. But I wouldn't want to embarrass you by expressing the love of, Peter the Geek." He sighed, turned over and went to sleep. July 4th was on Tuesday, and so it was Saturday the 8th of July that the football tryouts would begin. Lenore and Peter arrived at the junior high gym at 9:30 in the morning, a half hour early for the football tryouts. Peter went in looking for the coaches and found them in the boys' locker room. "Coach, where are we supposed to go for the tryouts?" "Peter, isn't it? Right here." "But what about Lenore? She can't come into the boys' locker room." You're right. We'll meet on the gym bleachers. When it comes time for her to get her uniform, you will have to take it to her. I'll see that the girls' locker room is open." "Great, thanks coach. We'll be in the gym." When Peter returned to Lenore, he found that she was surrounded by their classmates and one Chuck Swanson. As Peter approached the group, Chuck saw him and started to slink away. However, Lenore reached out and snagged him by the arm and pulled him close. "Hi Chuck. Going someplace?" He sagged as Peter got to them. "Hi Chuck. How was your summer? Ready to play football?" About that time the coach stepped out and shouted, "Everybody into the gym bleachers." The kids all went into the gym and clustered around the coaches. Coach Bullock got them to sit in the bleachers and began his briefing. In his opening remarks, The coach asked Lenore to stand. The rest of you understand, Lenore will be trying out for the team, and when she makes it like I expect all of you to, she will be part of this team. You will respect her as a teammate and as a lady. Anyone got anything to say about that? Silence. You will respect her, or you will be off the team. Then Coach Bullock asked Peter to stand. This is Peter. He will be the one to care for your uniforms and the team's statistics. He will be the coaching staff's right-hand man. Any questions? Again silence. Peter may be smaller than you football players, but remember, he is my right-hand man. You will respect him as a teammate and as a man as well. Any questions? The coaches all had their say, and then everyone went to get their uniforms. Peter got the size chart and went to see Lenore and got her uniform. Since she was trying out for quarterback, she was issued the number 7. While Peter was getting her uniform, the coach asked if she had gotten the protective gear she needed. Peter assured him that she had. With a slight sigh of relief, the coach turned to other things. Peter took Lenore her uniform and waited for her to come out. When she walked out of the locker room, built up and padded, and carrying her helmet, long blonde hair flowing down her back, Peter caught his breath. He thought she was absolutely beautiful. This was a woman. During the tryouts, the coaches gave everyone several chances to show what they could do. Lenore was first given an opportunity at place kicking. The coach indicated that she had done quite well. However, since she was trying out for quarterback, he would not make kicking assignments until he knew how she did as a QB. At Lenore's first time passing, the intended receiver dropped the ball. She tried several more times, and each time the receiver either dropped the ball or didn't try to catch it. Coach Bullock called everyone together. You guys think I don't see what's going on? The next time Lenore passes to you, you had better do your damnedest to catch the ball, or you will be gathering splinters. Got it? There was a mumbled assent. The next time Lenore passed, she threw the ball to Chuck. Chuck threw himself into catching the ball and then ran for the goal posts. The coach had her make several more passes of varying difficulty, all with near perfect aim. Then the coach told Lenore to pass the ball as far as she could. He started the backs and the ends running, and she took aim and made a near perfect pass to Chuck nearly 35 yards out. Then the coach had her run several handoff plays and a quarterback sneak, all of which went reasonably well. Coach Bullock called everyone together at the end of the tryouts. As everyone stood around, he read off the initial assignments. Among those assignments, Lenore Johnson was named second-string quarterback and first-string place kicker. Chuck Swanson was made the first-string quarterback. That evening after practice, Peter was putting away the equipment when he remembered he had to get Lenore's uniform and put it away for the night. He walked over to the girls' locker room and called her. She walked out carrying her uniform and handed it to Peter. She had changed into a bright blue dress that complemented her blonde hair and blue eyes, and Peter was stunned. He stammered, "Nori, you look great. Blue is definitely your color." About that time Chuck approached them. "Ah, Peter. I've come to talk to you, please." "Sure, Chuck. Do you want Nori to wait some other place?" "No. I need to say this to both of you. Peter. Lenore. I know I have made Peter's life hell since kindergarten. But, well, I am asking for your forgiveness. I'm sorry. And, well, I would like to be your friend." Lenore flared, "You've got some nerve, Chuck. I would never forgive you." Peter was shocked. "Nori, you know what Pastor Don teaches, we need to forgive." "Chuck, you have been forgiven." Lenore softened, "Yeah, Chuck. You remember when you broke Peter's ribs at Disneyland? I told Pete what I wanted to do to you then, but he reminded me that we must be forgiving. So, I guess I have to forgive you too. As for being our friend, we'll see. That might take some time." Summer practice went well. Both Chuck and Lenore worked out at the quarterback position and did very well. Chuck ran a little faster and threw a little farther than Lenore, but she threw with greater accuracy. The two worked hard competing for the starting quarterback position. It was time for the first game of the season. Grand Lake Junior High was pitted against Lincoln Junior High that Friday night and Chuck was the starting quarterback. There was a minor problem. Lincoln would have to use the girls' locker room, and so, the boys' locker room had to be cleared a little early for Lenore to change into her uniform. Then she would be granted the first 15 minutes after the game to shower and dress before the boys would be allowed in. At the half, everyone piled into the gym bleachers so that Lenore could be part of the pep talk. The score was 8-7, Lincoln was ahead by a single point. At the beginning of the second half, Lincoln made a field goal, bringing the score to 11-7. The two teams battled back and forth for most of the last half. There were 3 minutes on the clock, and Grand Lake had possession of the ball. Chuck called a timeout. In discussion with Coach Bullock, Chuck outlined a smart plan. Lenore would go in for the right end. She would walk onto the field with her helmet off so that Lincoln could see that she was a girl. Then when the ball was snapped, she would run into the quarterback's pocket, and Chuck would hand off the ball to her. He would take up a position to protect her as she chose her target and passed for the touchdown. The coach asked why Lincoln should know she's a girl. Because, Chuck answered, they won't think she's much of a threat and won't guard the deep receivers. The plan worked to perfection. Lenore hit the left end deep, and he just ran away for the touchdown. Lenore kicked the extra point, and the score was 14-11, Grand Lake won. The team hoisted Lenore to their shoulders and rejoiced in the season's first win. Lincoln's coach told Coach Bullock that their little plan would work only once. Coach Bullock replied, "Once was enough. We won, we beat you on the arm of a lovely young lady." The school celebrated the win and honored the whole team, especially Lenore. She glowed in the limelight. The next Thursday, after practice, Peter joined Lenore and Chuck just in time to hear Chuck ask Lenore to go to the movies with him Saturday night, and he heard her accept. Came Saturday and Peter saw to his chores, and then in the afternoon, as was his custom, he walked to Lenore's house. Normally in the mild weather, they were enjoying, Peter and Lenore would go to the park, and she would practice her place kicking and passing skills. When Peter got to her house, her mom told Peter that she and Chuck had taken the ball and gone to the park. Peter's heart hurt. He felt her being stolen from him by his former torturer, and he could not do anything about it. Lenore was not his. He was only her friend. He walked slowly to the park to see Lenore and Chuck playing, then just before he turned to leave, he saw Lenore kiss Chuck on his lips. Peter turned and walked home and went to his room. That was the first night in over a year that he cried himself to sleep. Sunday morning Chuck appeared at Peter's door about 9. When Peter answered the door, Chuck asked if he could go to church with him. Peter agreed quickly, and when the family went to church, Chuck was with them. Peter introduced Chuck to Pastor Don and Mr. Barnett, and then as the Sunday school class began, Chuck sat between Lenore and Peter. After a few minutes, Peter excused himself, and he left the class. When Sunday school was over, Peter was nowhere to be found. The choirmaster asked about him, but no one knew where he was. After church, when the Rogers walked out to their car, they found Peter asleep in the back seat. They woke him and asked if he was okay, but Peter only answered in a mumble, and Peter's dad knew not to push it. They took Chuck home and then asked Peter if he would like to go to McDonald's. Peter would ordinarily have said yes, but this Sunday he said he wasn't feeling well and wanted to go to bed. Monday, as Peter got on the bus, he saw Chuck and Lenore sitting together in the rear of the bus. As he started to take a seat, he saw Lenore wave to him and point to a place next to her. He took that seat and listened as she and Chuck talked about the movie they saw and the practice they had on Saturday. Then Peter heard Chuck call her Nori, and his heart broke. He sat in silence until they reached the school. Peter left the two of them and asked to see the school nurse. Peter's mom picked him up, took him home, he went to his room, and there he stayed for the rest of the day. Tuesday, Peter was feeling strong enough to go on with his life. He decided to act as if there was nothing wrong. Chuck and Nori were his friends, and he wanted to keep it that way. He smiled as he boarded the bus and took a seat next to Lenore and asked what he might have missed in class. She told him what assignments they had and asked if he needed help with them. "No, I've done most of it already. I'll use lunchtime to catch up. Football practice and studying went as usual." Only now, Chuck was part of the equation. He was with them at their dinner time and study time and playtime. Chuck had already taken over her Saturday afternoons. Peter's heart sank lower and lower every day, and yet, he continued to share himself with both of them, smiling and helping in every way he could. He thought, "They are my friends, and I don't own her." Nighttime was hard. Peter whispered to the darkness, "Nori, if you could only see me. If only." And he would cry himself to sleep. Lenore and Chuck were the heroes of Grand Lake Junior High. It was the last game of the football season, and Grand Lake was 8-8 and had this final regular season game to go. Things had gotten tougher as the season had worn on, and yet, so had the team. Winning had become a habit. The last game was against the only other team in their league to go unbeaten, Parsons Middle School. This game would tell the championship. It was a heavily contested game. Both teams were ready and eager to battle for the first place cup. At the end of the third quarter, the game was still 0-0. Both teams had played well and clean. In the last quarter, Coach Bullock put Lenore in at quarterback and Chuck as fullback. The two of them made an excellent team. They were a double threat. In the last 5 minutes of the game, Grand Lake had possession of the ball at the Parsons 30-yard line when Lenore called for a field goal. This caught the other team off guard, and Lenore was able to put the ball through the uprights for 3 points. Then all they had to do was hold on. Chuck and Lenore stood on the sidelines next to Peter and cheered for the defense. Suddenly a quick snap and the Parsons fullback was streaking down the field. But, one player was able to trip him up on the 5-yard line, and the clock ran out. Grand Lake were the champions. Chuck and Lenore and that one defensive player found themselves on the team's shoulders, and the Gatorade poured all over the coaches and Peter. Needless to say, Chuck and Lenore both basked in the glow of the victory. That night the Johnsons asked to take the 3 kids out to celebrate, but Peter begged off, saying he wasn't feeling too well. So, Chuck and Lenore went for the celebration. Chuck was into basketball, but Lenore and Peter decided not to participate this year. The science fair was coming up, and they planned to enter a team project, hoping for a little of the prize for their scholarship funds. They planned to build a working scale model of a nuclear power plant. One afternoon, after the 3 of them had completed their studies, Peter told Lenore that he was going to start doing some research on the project. However, Lenore seemed distracted by Chuck. While Peter sat at his computer and pretended to carry on with his research, Lenore and Chuck were sitting on Peter's bed doing a little necking. The kissing and giggling began to work on Peter's nerves, but the end of their study time came, and Chuck's mom and Lenore's dad had come to get them. Peter went on with his research, believing that he would be working on the project by himself. That night as he lay in bed, he whispered into the darkness, "Nori, can't you see me? Can't you see me?" And he wished and dreamed, but then came the harsh light of day, and wishes and dreams melt and trickle to the floor there to dry up in the sunlight. The next day they were to study at Lenore's house, but Peter didn't show up. That evening Peter called Lenore and told her that he would be too busy for their regular study time. He was going to be pushing the science fair project as far as he could. This found Peter alone every evening working on his model power plant. Every night he dreamed of Lenore, whispering to the darkness the pain in his soul. Peter worked tirelessly on his project. Every detail was carefully emulated in miniature. Peter substituted an electric heating unit to simulate the output of the reactor. But, he used the control rods to vary the temperature, which heated water, which drove a steam turbine he built, producing electricity. Peter's model power plant earned him a local first place in the science fair competition. Later, his model went on to win first place statewide, earning him $5,000 for his scholarship fund. When he was awarded the prize, he offered Lenore half, but she would have none of it. "Pete, I flaked out on you. You earned this, you keep all of it." When the science fair was over, Lenore urged Peter to rejoin the study time. "Peter, we need you. We're not doing so hot without you." Peter reluctantly agreed. They went back to the original study plan, and Chuck and Lenore were serious about studying. They only did their necking after the studying was completed for the evening. But, this was still very hard on Peter. He was still very much in love with Lenore. One Sunday evening Peter saw that a movie was going to be playing at the Strand Theater with two of Lenore's favorite actors, Sleepless in Seattle, with Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan. As soon as he saw her on the bus, he sat next to her and asked her if she would go see the film with him Saturday night. "Oh Pete, I'm sorry, Chuck already asked me. I promised to go with him. You could come with us." Peter could tell Chuck was not too happy with that idea. "Well, we'll see." Chuck glared at him, but Peter shook his head, and Chuck grinned. Several months later another film was showing, and Peter asked her to go with him. Again Chuck had beaten him to the punch. Peter's life was not the torture chamber it had been, but it was a pitch-black room of loneliness. Every night found Peter wishing, dreaming and crying, "Oh, Lenore, why can't you love me? Why?" As the school year drew to a close, Chuck was the athletic hero of Grand Lake Junior High. He had been the first-string quarterback on the football team, team captain and center of the basketball team, and pitcher on the baseball team. In each sport, Grand Lake Junior High had taken the championship. With Peter studying with him, Chuck had achieved A's and B's and was the most popular guy in school. Lenore had become the most popular girl in school. They both seemed headed in the right direction. And Peter Rogers brought up the rear. Summer was long and hot. Peter saw very little of Lenore, and when he did see her, she was with Chuck. Peter stopped attending his Sunday school class, staying in one of the vacant rooms in the church during the Sunday school hour. He quit singing in the choir because it hurt too much to be near Lenore while she was all wrapped up in Chuck. Peter slowly turned into himself, unable to face the reality of his isolation, his loneliness. Their 8th grade year was very much like their 7th grade year. Lenore and Chuck were the most popular kids in school, their grades were up, because they still studied with Peter. And they were the school sports heroes. For the second year, Grand Lake Junior High took league championships in all sports. Near the end of the year, the coaching staff from Green River High came to Grand Lake for a recruiting drive for the Green River High School football team. Chuck and Lenore dragged Peter along, and all three signed up for the team, Peter as a manager, again.